Tickety Boo on YouTube. Welcome, welcome, welcome to YouTube once again on a Friday night. So the mystery guest is even a mystery
Yes,
to us.
absolutely. That's all right. It
No.
happens.
Well, it, I say it's when it's meant to happen.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
gonna happen. So you
Life
hopefully
life
had
is
a topic picked because it's been a
oh, geez.
it's
Oh, where do we start? Where do we start? Oh my goodness. It's been a week. It's been a week. Um, okay, we'll start with something really off topic. I got some chai seeds and some sesame seeds and some flax seeds, and I pummeled the down into flour. And then I put some water with it and rolled it into some very, very thin. I mean, like, whoa, that's how can that hold together? It's so thin. Just boiling water, mixed it up, made it into a ball, rolled it out flat between two pieces of greaseproof paper. Okay, it's easiest and it's cleanest. And then I just put it in a dry fry pan. I have a cast iron pan. So I just threw it in my cast iron pan for a couple of minutes, brought it out, and that was it. That's my bread. That's what I use for my bases of anything I make. So as soon as I've made it into that form, stick it in its tin, throw the ingredients in, close it up, shove it in the oven. Wow. Okay, so that's my food tip for health today.
alrighty then.
Something a little bit different.
Yeah, and here I
Um,
have a pound of butter sitting in the kitchen waiting for me to make my own puff pastry because I just got to have something to do with my hands.
okay,
Yeah,
okay, all right.
uh-huh, yeah,
Well,
yeah.
this week I went into the unity of consciousness. You know, we're going to get to that point where, and the other thing is that keep coming up was trauma, a lot of trauma. One of the things I see is how the trauma becomes ancestral trauma. All right. So basically, A goes through something traumatic and it's never resolved. And then it's just compounded, compounded, compounded. So a very slight trigger, even to the senses, just the smell, just the feeling state, the anxiety that it's going to trigger something and have it happen. That's pretty intense trauma, all right? That can control you to that point. Then they go and have a baby. All right, I'm just being blunt here. Then they go and have a baby, and the baby is then put through another stage of those forms of trauma. And then they turn around and blame it on the parent of that child, which then impacts and compounds that trauma. So we're looking at all these different levels of short-term and long-term impacts of what trauma does, and all we need to do, I've just been finding we have to somehow fast track the understanding of how these things work, how the triggers work, how the emotions make us, we can get our chemicals into a right balance. Um, when you can see where the some of the issues were, go back as far as early as you can in your childhood to one of the worst times that you experienced. And then you go through what I call my 12-step program. You work out where you feel it. Okay. You start with where you feel it. And then you start tapping it out of your body. You start going through the stages that you felt. Why did it have that much effect on you? Was it because of the person it was coming from? Was it a repetitive action that, came down from his line, or is this something he started through his programs? This is his result of the programs. I live in a state where I analyze all of the different mental states that I was subject to as both a child, teenager, young adult, adult, female, thrown into all of these different scenarios, all these different job descriptions, and oh wow, what a ride. What a ride to still be here after all of that. And it's like, why did I carry this, and this? Who gave me these labels? I went through certain programs as much as I didn't like the stages I was going through. I also picked up along the line the skills to understand what they were actually saying, not just the written word on the paper, not just the academic side of it, but also the actual experience side of it. So that when someone said to me, da 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 da, I'm saying, okay, so you followed that theory from that theorist. Okay, sweet ass. But that doesn't work for now. That doesn't work for the technologies that we are aware of. The technologies that they show us today are technologies that they had 50, 60 years ago. You know, when I was younger, I knew about certain technologies, but I didn't recognize them as that technology. That it was just an existence. It's the same as, when you're growing up with one routine constantly, and then you get taken out of that scenario and put in another one, you're going to repeat that same scenario with whatever tools you've got available, right? Because it's already a repetitive pattern. So this is the same thing with how, anyway, I'm going off track. Um, you did say you wanted some subjects. So basically where I'm going is we're coming into some frequencies, some heavy duty frequencies that are really going to rattle the cage.
Yeah.
All right. And it's going to take us, if you feel that you're being pulled into your childhood, or you start getting the senses of smells and your senses start coming online when everything gets closer. We're getting some frequencies coming in, whether it's from that space turd coming towards us, or whether it's the frequencies that this planet's going through a big
Right.
crack. There's a big crack disturbance going on. Oh, there's so much work happening right now. And if we can consciously, with very clear intent, getting rid of all of the garbage that they threw on top of us that wasn't ours, and we allow ourselves to step into a higher version of the now and be the best version that we can with what we are aware of, and allow ourselves to always have that growth factor, be able to turn around and go, well, I improved today from yesterday. And that's where you want to keep going. You just want to keep improving yourself. And we're doing it. We're doing it unconsciously. So now we're coming into a time when we shake all that shit off us, we come into that unity, we have that same picture in mind, that same frequency, the same clear picture, and then we create it. Once we have created it, then we can step into it and recognize others that are in there with us. That is the direction that I see us going right now. Right? I see us stepping back into using our abilities and being able to sense those out there that we're tapping into our dormant senses. All right, they're not able to stay attached anymore and feed off us. So our senses are coming back online. It's going to be scary for some people because all of a sudden they're going to hear voices and it's going to be like, the thing is, those voices have always been there. They've just been a bit muffled. Okay, they've just been muffled.
And we have to kind of
So
be kind of careful with that because there are there are voices and there are voices, and working, with clients that have those are very active voices. And each one of them will give a different place that that voice is coming from. They'll sometimes be their own. They'll sometimes be indistinguishable, that they don't know who it is, but it's a same voice. It's the same one. It's like, I don't know who they are. Sometimes they're male, female, sometimes they switch up, sometimes they're the same. Sometimes is this coming from outside your head? Is this inside your head? And most of them, I would say probably 99% will say it's inside their head. Um, you know, I think the problem with it is sometimes those voices that we have had pervasive in our life that are not necessarily the most healthy things that they're telling us, if they're telling us unhealthy things to do either to ourselves or other people, that's when they need some professional help. There are a lot of phone numbers that everybody's got in their area, 911 at the absolute worst here in, the States. But what is it, 999 there is emergency?
Uh, I think it's
What,
111.
111? Hey,
Yeah.
was one end of the numbers or the other? But I guess the point is that there is help for people out there who do need that extra step. So Stone and I were kind of talking about some of the people that I deal with off, you know,
Yeah.
camera, but it's really super intense, and we both agreed that these things happen, and people are doing some of these absolutely horrendous things that society and our governments and our systems will not forgive. That,
Yeah.
this individual, but when you sit in the same, by the way, very small room with these
Yeah.
people who have spent more time incarcerated than they have been out, and you're
Yeah.
sitting in that room with them and you hear their human story. Oh, they're by no means an angel, um, but they are also somebody who has a story. And I have not come across, and granted, it's only been 6 years, I have not come across anybody who did not have something that was unbelievably horrific done to them or that they were witness to.
Yeah.
And then there ensues how they grew up and how they've lived their life. And I mean, most of these people, probably one of the coolest thing is that most of them don't have filters, so it's pretty fun. Some of
Mm.
them have been, kind of brain damaged. Other ones are just really crazy smart. I mean, some of them could probably finish, if not a master's, they could potentially start into a PhD. These are really smart people, some of them.
Yeah.
They just got busted, you know what I'm saying? They just kind of had to pay their toll to society, but it's very enriching. And Stone, you were saying, I do not envy your job, but I envy your job. And it's like
Yeah.
every day, I don't have to get up till like a little after 6. I'm usually up by about 4,
Yeah.
4:30, and it's not a struggle for me to get up. I'm not racing to get into work, but you're getting that 6 hours if you're lucky, because everything it just keeps going and keeps going and
Yeah.
keeps going, and you feel like that there is something that you have to be able to separate. So I think these 2 hours that I've been using this week has been, and we did this talk last week, the yours, mine, and theirs thing, and being able to separate that. I think that in the last a couple of 3 months, there has been something that's been coming in like really deep waves. I'll be honest with you, I didn't share this with you, but I had a really long drive. It's over an hour, just one way, just to get to this individual's house. Um, and it was rough concentrating because whatever this is that's at me, that's kind of trying to make itself known, is not me.
Yeah.
And I know it's not me. It's not, oh, how do I describe it? It's not malicious. It's not something that is malevolent. It's something that's there trying to make itself known. So this is what I'm trying to do every morning, is trying to kind of regroup. I don't want to extract things because all it's going to do is come right back.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of what I said last week. It's like, what the heck is this? It almost had me fall. I fell back in the chair and it was like, oh my God, what is this? I've already been to the doctor. I've already been checked out. Yeah, I mean, blood pressure's through the roof, heart rates through the roof. It's like, what the heck is going on? This is not me. I've always been really, really good with that stuff. And all of a sudden things are like, so something else is going on, and it's a little more complex than just encountering someone else's energy. You're also getting rid of your own stuff.
Mm,
And especially me, I'm encountering a lot of really powerful people who've been some really intense experiences in their life.
yeah.
So I have to be very much aware of protecting myself. And then when I do leave, I think, did I share with you that one time several years ago where I helped someone and they gave me this big hug, and it was very nice and it was great, and they we had texted for a little while, and I went and saw this his name is Dr. Douglas Gabriel. He was involved in like Star Wars and all this other kind
Yeah.
of stuff. He can read aura, he can see people's auras. He's pretty cool. He was not going to misspeak. He was an exorcist for the Catholic Church. I don't know for how many years, but he's
Okay.
retired. But
Yeah.
I mean, he's a really interesting fellow. What was interesting was that I showed him. I said, "Do you know what these things are? These light sticks? I see light sticks at night." And then I showed him one, and it was like fingery, like it didn't look malevolent, and I never felt anything bad. And I flipped by that one. He goes, "Oh, no, that one's not good. That one, no, you need to make sure." I said, I never felt like I was in danger. Or he says, no, no,
Yeah.
no, you wanna make sure that's get rid of it.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, I mean, and then you do whatever you need to do to extract this kind of stuff. But I guess the point is that even though I couldn't tell what that was, and he felt he said you pick something up off that person,
Yeah.
and that person had struggled with all kinds of things, not even going to say what they were, but they contacted me a year later and said they have not had problems. Now, what happened to
Yeah.
them, I don't know. I hope they're still doing extremely well, whatever. But I guess the point is that whole thing of yours, mine, and theirs
Yeah.
is important to make sure. Sure, too. Here's the caveat to that. And it's like trying to get rid of your shadow and your ego and all that. It's like I think that's BS. I think that we need that. It keeps us safe. We
Yep.
also need that these interactions with these energies that we're not necessarily comfortable with to spur us on. So it's kind of
Yeah.
like fear. I think that's what I did my recording on the other night. I know I'm nuts. I feel like Dookie, and I'm sitting there in PJs doing a recording about fear, and I'm thinking, fear, we need fear.
Yeah.
Fear keeps us safe. It keeps us away from the edge of the cliff, keeps us away from the hot stove, and it can also be that catalyst that motivates us to get out of the frickin' road so we don't get hit by the bus, even though we don't even see the bus coming.
Yeah.
So that's the intuitive side of fear, right? Why did I feel this anxiety or whatever it was? It wasn't even like anxiety. It's the most bizarre sensation that I think I've ever encountered, and it happened again just a few. And it happens during certain times of the day. I think I'm gonna have to start cataloging that
Yeah.
to see when that happens. But we do have to develop that discernment, because this is extremely, and it's a clinical term, it's called complex trauma, because it's not
Yeah.
just your genetic trauma. It's not just passing that on. When
Yeah.
your parents have gone through stuff, and then now you are making that baby, and even things that happen while you're pregnant with that baby,
Yeah.
that
Exactly.
also impacts in utero. Yeah, I think there's a lot of studies out there now
Yeah.
about that. But anyway, maybe that's digression. I don't know. We were hoping to have somebody come on. I would like to get some kind of an expert on to talk about this stuff. Because now that we have all this technology, there are ways to measure things that we've never been able to measure before.
Yeah.
And we not that makes whatever that we're trying to measure more valid. It was always valid. We just have these geeks out there who want to have proof. It's like, right? Does that make sense though?
Yeah, well, I'm one of those geeks that I'm always happy for experiments and stuff
Sure.
like that. And it's if we when we make that connection, when we know that we've got that clear intent, and we know, you can feel it, you can sense it, you just know it,
Yeah.
then we can go to the next stage. But to get there, we have to be comfortable enough with ourselves to say, yeah, I'm going to do this. Well, you're talking about fear. Now, I lived in fear. I lived in fear. I got myself into cupboards and closed, locked myself in these tiny little spaces because I was in deep fear state. Okay. Deep fear state, mental and physical abuse that I was going to more than likely go through because I had already. And it's like, okay, now I don't want to live in that state all my life, and it came out when I was in my adult, and one day I snapped, and it took several people to stop me. I went into berserk mode and I couldn't stop. It was just, oh, I still feel it. And it's like, when I had a blowout like that, I realized I don't need to be like that. I
Mm-mm.
don't need to treat myself like that.
Mm-mm.
We can move beyond that, but we need to be able to know where it comes from, where it comes from. So I changed my fear state into false evidence appearing real. I had to actually get out there and see what the situation was. Why was I feeling these anxieties or like, no, I can't go there. No, I can't touch this. Da 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 da. And then I started going into more of the Vulcan mind, logic, and it was like, well, I can be in that state or I can experience what's going on. I can step past the feelings and the voices that say, no, 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 don't go around that corner. Don't go through that door. Don't, no, no, that's going to happen. These were really bad anxieties. I lived with the curtains closed, all the doors were locked. I had
Mm-hmm.
weapons in every corner of my house.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was a prepper, you know, but it came down to I don't need that stuff. I don't need that stuff. If I'm in a dangerous situation or something's going to show itself as a dangerous situation, I know that my safety self is going to kick in as long as I stay calm and I don't get myself into any form of stuck states that's going to limit my abilities. It's been proven time and time again that, this is not a very nice subject, but when you get a drunk driver, they're more likely to survive the crash because their body is in a relaxed state. They are in a calm state, right? Whereas everybody else is like holding on for dear life. They know it's going to be over. Their bone, their muscles are so tensed up, and their adrenaline is pumping through them, and they're screaming and carrying on. Boom, it's all over. These things explode. I'm sorry, but I've been at because of one of my abilities, tuning in too. And one of the things I look at is how many people out there have these abilities that have gone through something so traumatic that it woke that area, that senses area up, and I can turn around and say every single one of us has got some form of ability, but we have to be shaken up to actually see it, acknowledge it, and accept it. So yeah, I went on another rant. It's that chai seed bread, you see. Oh man.
But yeah, I mean, one of the things that you mentioned was like was a growth factor.
Yeah.
What were you talking about that was a growth factor? I had something on that. I didn't. I ended up writing down something else. Uh,
Uh, growth factor. Can't remember. It's
yeah,
gone.
I can't remember either. But yeah, I'm at a loss for that one. I'm lucky to be sitting upright at this given point in time with all the
Yeah.
shenanigans that we've been having to trying to go through at this point. But yeah, I think just
Oh,
the
yeah, go on.
go ahead. What was
No,
that?
no, 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 no. I just suddenly got hit with a whole lot of topics, so it's all right. I don't mean to make any noise.
This is smorgasbord Friday night smorgasbord topic. Topic. Do you
Yeah,
have a
this is,
topic? Do you have a topic? Maybe a
oh
guest?
God.
Maybe like something because life's been hell on wheels. I'm just gonna be glad to be on this side of the dirt at this point without having it's like I spent it on the tests. The doctor has got no problem with putting his kid through college, but um, but I guess being able to think on your feet and maybe that is part of a growth factor for experiencing some of the things that we do have. I think that keeping in mind again, I don't know for why this is coming back around again, is making sure that no, seriously, it's like don't be afraid to like reach out to somebody.
Yeah,
Because I think you were talking about all the stuff that's going to happen and how weird things are going to get. I actually talked about that last week
yeah,
um, on my card thing, and it was exactly that. We got to pay attention. I mean, it's not like you got to be hyper vigilant or anything, but resting solid in the knowledge of who and what you are. I mean, you should be pretty damn skippy, you know, chill with it, if you will. But you know that is that not just the growth factor. I don't know, my head when you say growth, I mean go get the scalpel. It's just almost like I don't like growth. It's like I don't think of that. I think of something that shouldn't be there. I'm not
Ah,
gonna say right. I was
thanks for
like,
that
oh,
image.
it's
Oh
like,
my God. You just I saw this photo the other day of warts, right? And I
ah!
re and I remembered being a kid and I had this fucking wart on my wrist right here. And I used to sit in accounting class. Yeah, well, I'm not saying that too loud, okay? Yes, I did accounting class. And I fucking just pull at it, I'd pull one
Oh, come
string and
on. This might be
then,
TMI.
oh
I
no,
mean, come
mate.
on.
I
I,
then
I
went
have I have people. Oh,
I,
oh,
it'll get better. It'll get better. Then I went into a science class after that, and I put it on the fucking little slide, and I'd have a look at it. You can't get much more of a fucking nerd than that. I'm sorry.
I'm keeping my mouth shut.
I'm sorry.
Okay,
I'm sorry, people.
I
But I'll tell
I
you
will
what.
not make those types of things that this one has done. I will not do that
I cured it.
to my
They,
higher self. Even
I cured
even
it.
that.
I never got another wart. Touch wood.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
Oh, hey,
Oh, shit. I don't know where
got a
that came
topic?
from, you know.
Got a topic? This is like
This is how you know we're real.
yes, unscripted.
Okay. What's it
But we're
all?
no, you've extracted it. So
Oh
no
yeah.
more.
Hey, look, no,
No more.
not even a scar, It's not there's no that's a pen mark. Okay, that's a pen mark. There's no scar there. I can't even remember which hand it was. Oh
Oh,
shit. And the next scar to be on show.
I'm not showing mine. Sorry. Not doing
Oh
it.
shit.
No,
No.
no, no. I mean, I think we were talking the other day. I was like, oh my God, I look like I've been garroted.
Yeah, like you can
But
see mine.
I did have surgery there. So it's like,
Mm,
so it's like,
yeah.
that's what the hair is for.
Yeah.
But,
Mine stands mine
and
stands out when I'm darker.
I think though with the scars though too, and that is part of maybe accepting not just ours, yours, accepting yours, whatever they are, whether it's the wart or the scar. And I think the flip side to that with a story I told you about the therapist
Yeah.
rejecting the client because of something that they had said and being very judgmental. It doesn't mean that they couldn't raise the awareness of the client. It's just that they cut off that client and they felt shunned. So now we have somebody who was trying to talk about their trauma experience. They said something that was offensive to the therapist. The therapist got, some push back at the client. So now, not only did this person have this complex trauma that was layered over,
Yeah.
no kidding you, probably 40 years, she now has this embedded stigma because she was rejected by a professional.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
so I had to I did some like repair work and raised her, kind of raised her up a little bit and saying that's okay. Let's leave that where that is. Maybe you can talk about your next person to help you out if we can get you in someplace that's gonna be good.
Yeah.
But I guess the idea is just being a little more sensitive of not only other people but within ourselves. You don't have to judge other people just because they have something you don't agree with. You don't have to
Yeah.
agree with anything anybody else says, but you also don't have to condemn other people for it. You
Yeah.
don't have to support it. You don't have any of that stuff. You just okay, see ya. You don't have to engage with any of that stuff. If
Yeah.
you want to be a doorknob, be a doorknob. Just don't expect me to pay for it, right? I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah. No, when you talk about growth, oh my God, I'm gonna see that every time now, aren't I? All right. We have to change the word growth to evolution. Okay. When we
like bundle.
evolve,
Don't use the word bundle. Reminds me of a
ev
full diaper. I'm sorry. There are some
oh man,
trigger words.
we're gonna our show is going to be brought to you by
No bundled services. I'm
Lime.
sorry. We're using a different word.
Okay, so I got to start a list here. So we're not allowed to talk about bundles, and we're not allowed about growths because growths equal warts. All right, so oh yeah, and then that equals bad stories from me. So anyway, okay, getting back on track. Yeah, no, I was looking at okay, some of the things I wrote down were missing time through dimensional shifts. So like when you step out of like this just happens in our dream time. We go into lucid dreaming and we can see we're going places. And I've now basically connect my experiences is when you get in touch with that dimensional self, dimensional version of you, that's it's a version of you that's in that dimension over there when you are able to connect, because if you get wounded here, they feel some sort of connection, and we all feel it. So when you sometimes if you get a really big hit, this has happened to me. I got really, really hit hard once, and I instantly felt like part of me died. Part of me got taken out.
Hmm.
And I'm like, whoa, what happened there? And from there it went into I can now watch that regrowth take place so that didn't happen again or didn't happen to the other versions. And the other versions saw it. We were able to shake as much shit as we could in each of the dimensions that we were in. That showed me that it didn't matter which dimension, didn't matter how good or how bad it was, we would always have this thing that we had to let go of. This is just my journey. This doesn't mean it's what you guys are doing, okay? This is and in doing that, I had these guides, these different shaped guides, these old ladies that would come to me and they'd give me these lessons and these journeys. And so now I'm looking at the experience that I had totally different than I did 10 years ago. I'm able to see stuff that I couldn't see 10 years ago, but it didn't mean that it wasn't there. It's that whole frog can see what can it see when it's right in front of it. And so then I'm like, okay, what do I want to be? I can take myself now from the now into the future because I can see where I came from, and by doing the inner self perspective work that we do, like mine went through the stages of finding my higher self, which directed me to my inner child, my inner self. And the inner, I won't say it's a peaceful state, it's more of a I can communicate with my inner child now. I took away those all those pains and the damages that were done from those outside entities But I, at the same time, I now see, and I've seen this as an adult as well, these parasites that you were talking about, I've seen them latch on to other people as people walk past each other in the street. They just like ping, ping, ping. And sometimes people come home and go, oh, geez, oh, man, what is that on my shoulder? I've got such an ache right here. Oh, what is that? Or they'll get a wrecked neck. Maybe you've had some parasite jump on your shoulder and use you as a leaning post for a minute. This is some of the things that I've seen. So if you can take someone's negative energy from them, in the form of that parasite. That parasite is now on you, and that person can move away. This is some of the exorcism work that you were talking about. When you can see these entities, you can communicate with them, you can remove them from people. You can show them. I mean, I've been shown that I had an encounter with this is one of my spirit journeys that I had was I put the horn of truth down for a moment to help this young pygmy native girl. And when she looked at me and she was crying and holding back, her face, she had a cleft lip, right? And her eyes were pushed up here. And when I took her over to the water and I splashed it on her face to, give her a bit of composure. That's all it was. This massive moth appeared from the translucent state to solid form. And I did it again. And its proboscis retracted from her third eye. And its butt end came out of her mouth and her lip came down. Her top lip came down and her eyes came down. I caught it and I put it into a jar, and we both stood there looking at it. And she morphed into this totally wow creature. Anyway, she then took me back to her little village, and this was repeated amongst all the people and all the moths. The more I put in the jar, the smaller the moths would get because there wasn't enough room. And then once the whole village was done, that jar of these little moths became one big moth, broke out, and I couldn't catch it, and it took off. That was showing me my thing about AI. So I have a timestamp that I can go back to when I first saw AI playing with people. So, they take us on these journeys. If we allow ourselves to say, okay, there's more going on now, and they use all these different stages against us.
Yep.
If people
So,
want to say they're, yep,
so it's Chloe. Is Chloe the Earth Grid?
Chloe the Earth Grid. Yes, I think
Yeah,
so.
look in the chat. It says the Earth Grid Rescue Mission. I was out looking. Wouldn't let me in the chat. I don't know. You said somebody was supposed to be here tonight, but that's not them. Look in the chat. I don't know if
Look in
that's
the
them or not.
look in the chat. Look in the chat. No, no,
Okay.
no, no,
Okay.
no. That's another lovely lady.
Okay.
That's another lovely awesomeness.
All right.
Yes.
So life is
Uh,
chaos for all of us.
oh
It's oh,
yes.
okay. It's Michelle.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Um, yeah, I think that a lot of these experiences that not everybody um and for me, I'm one of those people. I don't have visions like that. I'll get snippets and I don't see stuff per se. I have to look at things through other lenses. The gift, if you will, that some of us have is by being a significant empath. And I think that
Yeah.
whatever it is that is our so-called gift is probably going to get amplified. I don't know if that's, accurate for everybody, but I know there are a lot of people that we really need to have a good solid foundation and a routine to keep ourselves as stable as possible. And I get it that people don't want to, be bothered with other humans and they're a pain in the ass and all that other kind of fun stuff. But hey, we are all we have in addition to ourselves.
Yeah.
So, don't isolate. Um, Yeah, it can be kind of uncomfortable sometimes if you have to be around other people, trust me. But it's good to stay connected, take whatever you can, but please don't isolate. This is going to be really important because we're going to lose our ability to access. I'm going to say if you had a gem with multiple facets on it, you're that part of that gem, and you're going to lose access to those different perspectives and those facets of the gem that you're part of. So
Yeah.
let's try not to isolate. It's hard to do because I just want to come home and it's like I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't
Yeah.
even want to do anything. I'm good with just crashing.
Well,
I
sometimes
don't
that's
I
what you
don't care
need
if
to
I'll
do.
wake up 2 or 3 hours later. I don't give a rat's. I'll just get up and hang out and do whatever. Go watch something mind numbing on the tube. No
Yeah.
commercials. Hate commercials.
No, I do. I don't be afraid to try something new, to get a new skill. Go out and into the. I mean, I can't believe I'm recommending this, but find something that you can, improve on. Something that you have a passion for. Something you haven't done that you might want to try doing. Go and do it. You don't have to know anybody in the groups. Sometimes I think it's better to know nobody in a totally off base group, and I say off base because you'd never actually think of going there in the first place. So, I like to trick. I like to, we see these beings all the time and they know what we're going to do and all of this, but they don't know what we're going to do all the time. They haven't figured out how we come about our logic. There's always these arguments about logic because they haven't figured out how we come to our thought process, how we do it. Knowing that the mind and I say mind over matter. The brain has a different conscious awareness than the rest of the body does. If you think about us as an organ, we've got a lot of different organs within one organ playing different frequencies. You can harmonize all of these frequencies. So you go out there and you find something that's going to give you a little bit of bliss, something different that you go, wow, I am good at it. And if you're not good at it, well, go and find something else that you are good at because there's always something out there that we are good at. I say to a couple of my housemates, when they're really, really pissing me off and stuff, I just turn around, start laughing, and I say, thank you. Oh my God, thank you for doing that. I needed that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If you just change that little bit of energy around, they're being an arsehole. You know the comment was how it was being delivered, but you don't need to accept it that way.
No.
So this is our interaction as well. This is how we change it around. I'm noticing people doing this, going out there and out of nowhere, somebody might be quite nasty or offensive to them. And we could turn around and take it as shock, surprise. Whereas once upon a time we'd go into fight and flight. Now it's like, mate, you got more problems than I've got. So cheers for that. I hope I helped you release that energy that you needed to expel out of your frame. I hope you feel better for that. But you don't actually have to say it verbally because you
Nope.
might get a slap in the head. So just, if you're just thinking about it, you can force that out. And in some situations you better say it. When I come up again, you just got to make somebody else's day nicer. Just say something nice to somebody. Don't do it in a creepy way, please. All right. I'm not going to take responsibility for your creepness.
Well, it's kind of funny. I know I've probably mentioned it a couple times, but when I first started working where I'm at right now, and everybody was kind of frumpy and glummy, and it's oh crap, it's hump day, and thank God it's Friday, and oh shit, it's Monday. And I was like,
Yeah.
I can't deal with this. I'm not going to do that because I didn't have that kind of office environment in the past. It was always, hey, good to see you. You checked in at the office and then you were gone. I mean, and they want us to do that, but you have to go in and then you have to end your day there, and it's like, no, it's not going to happen. So people kind of push back on that and they just don't want to be there, so they're kind of crabby. So I
Yeah.
decided I was going to go in, and no matter how people treated me, I would go in and I would say, it's like, happy Monday. And then it was like, oh, eventually got to the point was like, oh, happy hump day. And it's like, oh, well, happy eve of pre-Friday. So it's Wednesday, right? Happy, Eve of Friday. Happy post Monday. We're one day closer to Friday, right? And still there's a couple of Eeyores around after 5 or 6 years now. I've been doing, but when I can walk in less than a year into that same office with those same people around the same time, and I see people crossing that lobby and they're going, "Hey, happy Tuesday," and I was like, "Ooh, that was pretty quick. That was easy to change." Oh, what does that mean? Oh God, are they malleable or no? I think it's just that the people that were receptive to something positive were receptive to something positive. And so
Yeah.
when I was out of that office for about 10 months, I got back uh end of yeah, it was the last week in July, and I went to my first staff meeting like a week later, and there's all these people. Most of them I don't really know, and I'm sitting there and there's my boss who sits there and go, "Well, thanks for coming, you guys. Happy Wednesday." So
Yeah.
now we're saying it at meetings. And so I'm pretty stoked about that. That again, you run into those Eeyores, and it's like your reaction there. It's like I'm not gonna sit there. It's like you're such a stick in the mud. I mean, I could say all kinds of stuff, but I'm just sitting there laughing to myself because it's an Eeyore. And they're gonna be people out there that they're just not gonna want to see the good stuff. But the funny thing is that this guy is always, granted we got a pretty serious job, but keeping the sense of twisted humor that I have. So when I was talking to this guy and I was getting a couple of his cases, and it was like we would just start talking about something, and when I saw that, I got him to laugh about something. And I mean, his whole countenance changed, his whole face changed. And it was like, God, what human are you hiding? What are you
Yeah.
hiding? You know? So yeah, we all have that in us, and even though most of the time they're Eeyore, the other time they're not quite Tigger, but they're a little bit more upbeat. It depends on the subject that you're going to talk to them about. It ain't gonna be work. Not gonna talk about like, but yeah, I mean that's the whole thing. Don't judge people.
Yeah.
Leave the judgment out. You know, don't okay, judge people. Just don't be judgmental. I guess that's the
Yeah.
way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
But you got to keep yourself. You got to use good judgment.
yeah, yeah, discernment. Use
That
it
too.
discernment. We have discernment for a reason. It's like, okay, if someone this is how I do my thing. If someone is in the growth process, so they make a mistake, right? You see them make the mistake. They see themselves make the mistake. They don't make that mistake again. But they see themselves and then they make a mistake and they know that they've made a mistake, that's when I'll say, hey, look, that's why are you doing that? Why are you doing that when you knowingly know you're out there and what you're doing is going to hurt somebody else? you know, and then I leave it. I take a step back. I make sure that I've said my piece. People are aware of the findings, and then I just step back out of it because I don't want to stay attached to that frequency. I'm aware of what that frequency is attracting to itself by not being honest to itself and by the deeds that it's going out there and it's trying to create. The frequency signature speaks for itself. And eventually it's like a some sort of psychic radar. You go near someone and go, oh no, don't want to be in that frequency, gonna move over here now. And they don't even have to say anything. But you feel it, you know it, you sense it, you smell it. We don't all have to have the same senses, but
Hmm.
there are abilities that we are sensitive to. So some light, some feeling states, so you might feel it in a different organ in your body. What's the resonance that's going on there? See, I look at the organs as representatives of different pains that went on in different stages of life, whether it's through food, relationship, ancestral, it's a chemical unbalance within that system. It's a scarring. And so when I can figure out what the scarring is, I try to figure out what I can do to fix that scarring. And all our organs, everything renews itself. All right. So when you know that you can renew this temple, then you can do something even better for it every time round, every time round. Um, yeah, I don't know where I was going with that.
I don't know. I think a lot of it has to do with, like you're saying, the body heals itself, and when we provide the environment, and sometimes, it's kind of like that spinach in your teeth. You don't. I mean, you had a really good spinach pie or whatever, and you're not going to see this. You need somebody to help you, like, so right.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, so you can help somebody, but you're not gonna stick your finger in. I hope you're not gonna stick your finger in their
Oh
mouth.
God, no,
But you
don't,
can
don't.
hand them the toothpick so they can, or a toothbrush,
Exactly.
something to get it out themselves. So it's the
Yeah,
same kind of an idea. You still have to take action on your own self. You're gonna be the one to do the maintenance. You're gonna be the one to kind of take care of yourself. Um,
yeah,
but
yeah.
we do need each other, to kind of help us keep the maintenance, because it's all about that maintenance thing too, yeah. And it's I don't know, it's like, so when I think of something that's faceted, so you think of like I don't know if I have it handy. Here it is. I gotta scooch over here. So it's multifaceted, but when you look at this,
Yeah,
it's got my greasy fingerprints on it. But it's something where it's only on the surface. So that facet's right there, and that one there, and that one there. What I think we're kind of looking at is something that's not just on the surface. There are multiple facets that are inside of the gem. So, like, maybe you can see
yeah,
like the light being refracted through it. Oh, sorry, like I said, I got my greasy paw prints all over it. But that's the same kind of idea where it's like in it, on it, around it, pushing things out, and it's not separate. Even though these are different facets, it's all part of the whole, even what we can't really physically touch.
yeah,
So I think it's deeper. It's a lot deeper than just a facet on the surface. So when we're looking at some of these things that you're talking about, like the healing aspects, and that we might need somebody else, but it's also things in our subconscious, and we don't have to know the scientific details. We don't have to know the specific frequency of a kidney or a liver or the skin or your hair. That's all unique to the individual, and depending
yeah,
on what part of that particular organ or whatever you're looking at, this is me just from the things I got a family member who's going through their PhD right now, and that kind of stuff. But we kind of talked about it, and that's the same idea, is that those are part of what you can look at or scan. It's all part of this, like this. One facet is your hair, and another one is your face, and another one is a different part of your body. But inside of this, just like in your physical body, there's all this complexity that's going on with the different organs. And those all each have their own frequencies in each section of that. Because I don't know, it's not called a lamina, I'm not sure. But I mean, even with your spinal fluid, your spinal cord, and that is the craniosacral. It's a semi-closed hydraulic system, and
yeah,
and that has multiple layers, and you have that Christos, that's the cerebrospinal fluid that you're pumping through your body, is protected by the dura arachnid and the pia mater. That's the three layers of the
right.
covering around your brain. It's
Yep,
semi-closed because it's feeding all of your body, and it branches off. I think it's like, what is your vagus nerve, but it goes through
yeah,
your whole freaking body. And that's, we have control over that. And it's semi-closed because it creates movement in each part of your body. Those little knobby bits on your head all have their own frequency that they're called sutures, right? And the
Yeah.
sutures, they're moving. They are not fused. For decades they were telling us they were fused. No, they knew back in the ancient days there's movement there. And studying that and actually feeling that in another human being when I was doing massage therapy is freaking awesome. When you start feeling that and you can see their everything is like in synchrony. And when it's out of sync, that's how you facilitate it. Whether it's like this, it's really uber gentle traction or whatever it is that you're going to do to help people kind of rebalance themselves. I mean, I used to work with professional hockey players, and
Yeah.
one of the things that they had problems with was their quads because they use them kind of a
Yeah.
lot. So
Yeah.
range of motion, getting them to relax and stuff. There were special techniques that I ended up learning, and they always used to walk in. There was three of us there, and the guys would come up next because they had to like whoever's like, oh, like get on my oh, I got a good one today. I was like, oh shit, because like, dude, they can hear you, right?
Yeah.
It's a little dim in here, but that doesn't dim their hearing. So,
Yeah.
but when you cater to the comfort and you make them feel comfortable,
Yeah.
and then you're not doing things to injure, you can do things to increase someone's mobility without doing something radical like making them stretch. And that's not what this is about. This is about using the body mechanics for people to heal themselves and learning it in a right way that when you do need help, because there were things that I had to do, and I'm not a big person, but some of these dudes, they were like 6 foot frickin' four, and and I got this leg that's almost as big as my torso, half of it, and I got to manipulate this around. You figure out you use the good body mechanics, but
Yeah.
it worked. They couldn't do it. I had to get them to a state of trust.
Yeah.
That was the word I was looking for, is trust. We have to talk about trust for a hot second. So getting them to a stage of trust to allow me to manipulate whatever I needed, and then I would have a portion where they would have to do something. So it was like this cooperative thing that they would do one motion and I would do the other. And a lot of times one of the movements was where I would loosen the quad up and I would test their heel, and their heel would be this far from their backside. And by the time I was done, probably not even 10 minutes, probably 5 minutes, their heel was touching their backside.
Yeah.
And that was about, first, I couldn't do that if I didn't have their trust. And it's not about trusting other people, even, it's about trusting yourself.
Yeah.
If you don't trust yourself, if you don't have that level of trust within yourself, you're not going to trust anybody else. And you can blame that on other people, say, I don't trust them.
Yeah.
But it's really, you don't trust yourself with maybe what they would offer
Yeah.
or present. So you have to trust yourself first, know your boundaries, but you also have to be able to trust other people.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
trust is really important. So
Yeah.
what do
I
you pick up off of trust?
Oh, well, my trust is like, okay, I know myself 99%. I allow myself that 1% of unknownness. So therefore, that 1% it keeps me humble. That keeps me in my truth element. I know that there is a portion of me somewhere that keeps me honest. And so by keeping me honest, I can have that 99% trust in my abilities. If I can't do it, then I will ask help to do it. If I feel like I want to learn something else, I'll allow myself to learn that something else. It's like when it comes to trusting others, trust is earned. Trust is earned. You know, it's a 50-50 road. And when I go into any kind of relationship, friendship, anything, I have my code of ethics. I have my boundaries. And I let the other person know right at start, you know, and should shit happen and we find it different, we don't resonate any longer, then I don't burn the bridges. There's no point in doing that because this is the experience had by two parties experiencing this encounter, this experience with each other. And then later on down the track, I might be able to come back and they might be able to come back and we might be able to have a belly laugh. We might be able to go, oh well, this is the experience, this is what happened to me since then. This is the evolution that I've made. That way I'm not using, the word that we're not using today. Um, and our evolution. So our evolution is to be to allow certain things to go, okay, I don't resonate with that now. I don't need to call them names. I don't need to do this and that. It's like, what do I want to stay attached to that rubbish for? We're both going our separate ways. We're learning new stuff. It was good while it lasted. Thank you for sharing that experience. Now we move on. Here's hoping that both by the experiences that we've shared, it's enriched both our lives. One way or another, it's helped us somewhere. You couldn't ask for anything other than that, you know. So that's where I look on. That's the trust factor to me. It is earned, and for that to be earned has to be you have to build a level of communication, you know, and to be able to pick up on the resonance of the honesty within that communication. And as soon as something starts to break down, have that ability to communicate and say, hey, look, this is affecting me. So, and this is what it's doing to me. Is there a way that we can rectify it? Are you even aware that that's happening? And this can be approached with compassion. You do it with compassion because you want to know, you want to get your point across. Yelling's going to do absolutely nothing. You're not going to have a very good relationship. And going on and watching people on these shows and stuff and watching the arguments back and forth, come on, we've passed that. We've passed that. We're at a time where we have the ability to step into our higher version of ourselves and learn to communicate. We know how to communicate. It's body language, it's all our senses we pick up on. And in circles that, we both and you others in the chat, we go around to, we associate with. Um, there is some bickering and stuff that goes on because people become quite passionate and opinionated and they're easily triggered. But we want the growth factor. It's not just about the subject, it's also about actually saying, okay, well, I can see this opportunity to grow from it, evolve from it. This is my evolution stage, and I get to see these steps. So I'm going to take advantage of this. But I'm not going to let you stay down there. I'm going to make sure that I reach out, give you that opportunity. And if you don't take it, that's fine. That's fine. Bye. See you next time round. So that's that one. But um with that subject comes like I'm getting with everything that's going on, all these forces at the moment is in with strength comes endurance. So the more that you endure, the stronger you're going to get. This is mentally and physically. This is clarity in what we're seeing unfolding around us. If you hear 101 different opinions of what that space turd is, you know, allow yourself to have those 101 theories on it because eventually it's going to get close enough to us or it's just going to disappear out of space, psh, gone, or we're going to meet something new. This is an adventure we're on, and we can turn this into anything we want to. What is it that you want to see from this thing that's coming that everybody's talking about? Isn't it amazing how the energy was all focused on the war and what was happening over there and what was happening over there with the natural, say that lightly, storms. Now, what will unite everybody on this planet if the New World Order can't? So that's just what I'm seeing, and I'm thinking, well, we got all this technology that the governments don't want us to know, but we bloody know. They've used all the experiments on us, and there's enough of us to know what some of these findings are, so that
And there are more and more people that are kind of being made aware of. I'm not going to use the awakening part because it's, again, this is another one of those multifaceted things. There are certain levels of awareness on each one of these things that people hopefully are aware of. Um, I and the biggest thing is for me, people are aware of what's going on with the food. There was an article that someone posted about what they're doing with the mRNA and A that's going into the different meats. Well, guess what? It's in your fruit and veg as well.
it's in
So,
everything.
yeah. So I guess my thing is I'm going to go back to when all these shenanigans started 5 years ago and say, hey, key to all of this is detox, detox,
Yeah,
detox. And when you
yeah,
find that that happens, if you're properly eliminating, uh, you're gonna you're gonna feel a little bit better. So my whole thing is too, it's not just about what you're eating, it's about what you're thinking. And your thinking can be a big part of how you're gonna process your food. So one of the things when you get under high stress is you lose your appetite when you get
yeah,
depressed, whatever. Guess what? Don't force yourself. Don't force yourself. Your body is paying attention to what it needs to pay attention to, and it shuts down that response. So don't try and change what your body's telling you. Get help if you need help, but um, that goes again about being able to tell what's yours, mine, and theirs,
yeah,
and that goes back to, of course, discernment. Um, but I think the biggest thing is that people look at all this stuff and they don't want to acknowledge that there are solutions to these things. I go back to a lot of the whole it's like manifestation type stuff. I know Augie did the book, the Spiritual Science book, that really good. Read it several times, but I'm also looking at Neville Goddard. He's got a lot of
yeah,
really good books, and there are a couple other. I've watched a couple other people, but I think his is pretty solid stuff to the point where I got all of his books and kind of trying to make my way through that. So these are solutions based, and it's not as easy as what you think. There are ways to manifest things in your life. The thing
mm,
is you can't try. It's kind of like Yoda says, there is no try, there's only do.
there's
And I
only
just
two.
say, just make sure you don't step in it, right? You
Yeah,
got to know what you want. Otherwise, you are going to be stepping in it. Be careful what you wish for,
yeah,
because I kind of feel like that's what is going on. Hey, one of my manifestations is, making sure that I can ramp up whatever, you want to call them abilities. Uh, I call it just plain ordinary old, what you'd be calling by a so-called normie is magic. It's something
yeah,
that the only
yeah,
thing magic is something that science can't explain, a miracle.
yeah,
That I want to be a miracle manifester. And it's not out of ego or anything like I don't believe in altruism either, but the whole thing is that this is something that if you want to help people, that's kind of the hack that I feel like. And it's if you have to try, if it puts you out, then I don't feel like that's what it
yeah,
is true manifestation. True manifestation is embodying that within yourself, that you have your deepest desires, and it aligns with what's in your subconscious. You might say you want to do X, Y, and Z, and you write it down. You do the affirmations. You kind of sense what's going on. But, dude, I'm telling you, if it's not aligned with your divine alignment, if you don't, because you're gonna know, because there is, I
oh, you
might feel
feel
like I'm
it.
out of whack on some things. I'm
Yeah,
like in alignment with other things. So I got like two or three things that I'm still waiting for these, but I'm in alignment with this one. And it feels like, well, this is not quite getting ready to take off yet because there's something else in these other two, because I think they're all connected. Just my fingers are connected. They all look independent, but they're all connected to my hand. That's all just going to kind of like um, take
they are.
off. But it is the solution. We have to find solutions to these, and it's not going to be the same solution for everybody. It's just not. I don't know why I wrote this down, but we're talking about an expert, and you go to the experts. But I wrote this down that an expert fencer can be undone by a novice with one unknown move,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
So if we had that, don't put down where the information's coming from.
Yeah.
Might be that lonely street person sitting on the corner that you don't want to look in the eye that's got the answer to your life.
Oh, mate, I've had the occasions where opportunities actually. I sat down with a chap and we started talking and I see, I had to go and pick up some stuff for other people and that, but I had like 10, 15 minutes to chat. So I went and picked up some stuff and I took over a pie to him and I says, "Oh, what do you need, mate?" And he says, "I need a pair of jandals." So that
Okay.
became his nickname. And so I went and got him a pair of jandals and he was, we had a chat. So we chatted for about 10 minutes about what some of the things he'd gone through. He must have been, in his 90s at the time and it was some harsh days back in his time. And
Mm-hmm.
it was a really, really eye-opening conversation because it wasn't just the 9 to 5 job or the gender-based job. It was also the paranormal activities that he had encountered, the
Oh wow.
experiences. And he told me about a crop circle that was actually out this way. So, back in the day and others, I started doing a bit of research and of course he was bang on. He told me facts. I was able to go and look this stuff up. So, if you allow yourself to do something different. It doesn't mean you're going to always have a pleasant experience every time you try to do something, but this is also we don't step on other people's free will. We allow them to approach us first.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. It's if someone is trying to put somebody else's life down or day down, they're not a friend of mine. That I'm not going to deal with that shit. You don't want to deal with me with that shit because I'm just don't tolerate it. And then you've got those that go out of their way to help. And that always makes me feel like there's another agenda behind that. Yeah, so we're finding that balance. What is it that you truly want? Because I've seen a lot of really good organizations infiltrated by different outside agencies that have come in, brought money in, brought this and that, and totally annihilated that, the goodness that was in there to start with. So, keeping those barriers, keeping those boundaries with yourself is very important so that you can recognize it in your everyday adventures out there, whoever you come in contact with. I could not work in a job where I had to deal with money, giving money and change to somebody every single day. Couldn't do it. But I appreciate those that put themselves through that. Eventually, I hope not to even go near a supermarket. But you can donate to my fund me when I do actually put it up if I ever get there.
Yeah.
Mine is learn a skill and pay it forward. Learn a skill and share it with whoever wants to know about it. Learn how to make a fishing net, learn how to make that thread. We never know what the future holds. At the end of the day, with all our abilities, it can be different for everybody. But at the end of the day, if you have your basic boundaries, moral compass, allow yourself to make those mistakes because it's a mistake just means you get the opportunity to give it another go. There's just do, do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um, Now, as you were saying, okay, so we've got the self and the strength from the endurance. So that's also perseverance.
Yeah.
Keep moving forward. Keep doing what you're. I don't like to say that either. Keep doing what you're doing because you'll always get what you always got. But you're investigating the depths within you. You're investigating the actions of those around you. We are in tea time, transparency, exposure, and accountability. You know, the other one was, yeah, responsibility versus punishment. Responsibility versus punishment. When we when when you commit a crime, whether it's big, small, whatever it is, you do got to take responsibility for your actions. And when you are in the knowing of your actions and choose not to actually repair and take responsibility for it, that's when the punishment should come out. That's when you need to go, okay, well, you can't be in this anymore. Not if you're going to keep creating that feeling state. That group don't want that. Go to that group over there who you can have a Mad Max moment with, you know? Um, yeah, yeah. I feel like we're going back into another one of those times of, the Atlantean times where great civilizations of different multitudes of peoples from different galaxies out there coming together, communicating, making this place a high vibe, and then something creeping in and then destroying that whole process. We have to do it again. I feel like we are now coming out of the darker times, and we're stepping into the better version. We can be in the better version. So, I mean, it's different for everybody. There's some people that are just, yeah, they're going to stay here.
Yep. Yep.
Um,
And that's okay. That's the other part too. It's
yeah,
okay, if somebody doesn't want to work on themselves, it's okay.
yeah,
Just don't let it taint what you're trying to do.
yeah. The last part of this I got was obligation and fear. Okay, we are now stepping into a time of appreciation. We are the stewards of this planet that we're on. And it's time to take our power back. It's time to start caring for our environment. Whatever space we're in, we can make it better. You've got to start with you, make you better. Look into the foods that you're eating. If it turns out they're not biologically correct, GMO'd, everything is in one form or another. We don't know how old these plants truly are. So if you do, let me know, because I would like to know how you know that. I've worked in a lab. I've worked with bloods. I've seen, genetic manipulation in my own journey this time round, and it's everywhere. It's
Yeah.
absolutely everywhere.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can change the construct, the atoms of items by positive thought, by positive energy with the, affirmations. I, if you're clear intent, and this is magic, this is magic. Old days, we'd get down on our knees and we'd pray, we make ourselves feel better, make ourselves feel safe, get into bed, go to sleep, and then there'd be the scratching under the bed.
Yeah.
Hello,
Yes.
hello.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
So yeah, take the dark. You could do what you want with the dark, but now is a time of manifestation.
Yep.
And if you want to walk around wearing a toga and wearing, a laurel leaf around your head, and are you putting in the work to make that happen? You know, it's going to be, oh, we're in for some fun times, mate. With the you can still,
God,
I don't
I
want to
don't know
say
why
it.
I
I
had that
can't say
stupid
it.
thing. I had that stupid thing flashing through my head because that used to be kind of a thing for a while, was the toga parties, but and they're not, I've never been to what's called a fancy dress, but
Oh,
dressing up and I think having the fun, we need to bring back a lot of the fun because it is going to be, we're going to really have to hang on to our sense of humor. We're going to really have to hang on to it. It's going to be important.
I'm going
I
to
hope.
dress up next weekend for our show. Okay, we dress up next weekend here. How's that?
Oh, okay.
Oh no, she says.
It's a little early for Halloween. I'm just gonna put that one out there. But what is next week? All right,
Why you
dressing
limiting
it up.
yourself?
And it's kind of a cheater because the people in the chat, we're not going to know if they're dressed up or not. We're just going to have to take their word for it.
They'll have to send us pictures and then we can send them a chocolate fish.
That's not a bad freaking idea. That's not a bad freaking idea.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
next week is the 5th. Actually, I
Oh,
had no show. You were doing
yeah, no,
something.
I won't be here next week. We won't be having you can still do one, but I've got
Well, I
meant to
was
be.
gonna do a human encounters. I'm gonna do hopefully a recording between now and then and be able to post a human encounters thing on my YouTube thing. Kind of go from there. I'm working with somebody right now, talking to them for the second time, and gonna be respectful of it. But we could do something like that. It's closer to Halloween anyway, the 12th of September. We're still a hot minute away, but not to say we're not gonna do
You're talking
something.
about relaxing, letting your hair down, dressing up and making imaginary, and now you're putting a time date on
Of course I am, because it's Fridays.
it. Oh, true that. Not for me, mate. It's Saturday. I can
Every
just
day's
hang loose, Mother Goose.
okay, Stone. Every day is a dress up day for you. Shh.
Oh, shit, yes. Yeah, man. Oh my God. One day I've got sheep shit on my face. Another day I got cow shit. Oh, great. Duck shit between the toes every bloody morning before I put my boots on. Yeah, mate. Dress up every day.
Yeah, I think the wart thing was probably a little tamer than that. I don't know.
What?
But
God. No, seriously, I was trying to fix a washing machine one day and my finger slipped with the tool and I sliced it open to the bone. And I was, okay, I could stay in this total, oh my God, I'm bleeding to death state. I can see my bone. Ah! Or I could be like, and there's nobody around, or I could be like, stay calm, be your own doctor. So I don't recommend this for anybody. This is just me. I have some medical background, so I knew what I was doing. Anyway, I gave myself 3 stitches, and yeah, she still works pretty good. She still works right there. Okay, she still works pretty good. So anyway, on that note, allow yourself to learn new skills. You never know when you might need them. Seriously, you never know. And if you get some bad juju on you, there are ways that we can get rid of that. And for me, as soon as I recognize something's there, I can only play with it for so long before it starts to get serious. At the moment, I've got another shadow presence, let's just say. And it's one of those ones, I've said it in one of the chat rooms today, where you just know you're being watched. You know they're right there everywhere you go. You sit on the toilet, you know they're there watching. You go to the kitchen to make food, you know they're there. You put your feet on something and suddenly it gets moved, but your feet are still still. You turn the light off when you're walking down the hallway. All right, you've got the light on, there's nothing there, but you know there is. You turn it off, something starts stepping closer and closer, and you flick it back on and you can't see anything. But then you flick it, flick it off and run into your room and close the door and hope that that door's going to hold them out there. What a stupid idea that is. So when you know you have presences around you, you know, talk to them,
yeah,
communicate with
yeah,
them.
yeah,
When they
yeah.
know that you've got nothing to feed them, they'll leave you alone, right? When they know that you know that they're there, it's harder for them to hook on. So, yeah, I don't know what else to say. I've got some readings worked out here. I've done a couple of charts. So, do you
Okay.
want to do one of those?
Yeah. What are we reading for?
I don't know. I'm reading for give me some insight into my theory of what the space turd is.
Space turd. Okay.
And that's probably what it'll come out as. So, yeah, I'm just going to pull a
Okay.
card, I
Why
think.
don't
I
Why
think
don't
I'll just,
you? I have I have my cards laid out. But what is the
Okay.
space turd? So I'm going to do an oracle on it. So if you have a reading while I get this kind of situated, you can go ahead and
All right.
spout what you got, man.
Spout. All right. So, um, all right. Where are we on this? We'll go to this. I'm just got to write it in so I know. So on the rune, I got Othello. On the cards, I got elephant. And on the message, I got exactly as you are. So through the runes, I got this is inherited. So, okay, so if it's inherited, that means it comes from this location. It comes from something that we've created. Now, remember, I'm asking the readings to tell me, give me a more of a specific on the identity of the space turd. So, and now it's telling me the first rune is telling me that it's inherited. Now I'm going along the lines that I have a theory that it's part of the Bluebeam project and that it is AI, some form of AI Bluebeam technology coming in, part of a bigger staged performance. So with it saying inherited and group order, that makes me feel like it's a deeper rooted thing to earth than exterior. Then on the card we got elephant and forgiveness. Be gentle in your vulnerability, talk taking shit out on others. So this is like, okay, be aware of your states, your emotional state, your physical state. Be aware of your environment around you, what your vulnerabilities are. Do you, yeah, like because I have a prepper side as well, I always think about things like water, safety, security, companionship, that sort of thing, making sure we're well in case there's a storm that comes along that we don't think is going to come along, but just suddenly does. Don't have to have a lot for that. But in the emotional side of it, be aware of your emotional side, be aware of your triggers so that we don't lash out because the energies that are around us at the moment are triggering a lot of these different responses. I say it's, we're shaking this stuff out. We're letting go of stuff that we don't actually need. Fed up. Oh, yep, yep, yep.
Fired up. This is
I'll
like a
fire it
trigger.
up. I thought,
But this is like a trigger. It is a trigger card, and
yeah,
it's something is gonna be. I think there's like something that's a little not really duplistic about it, but I think things could go either way. It's really going to depend on what people do and how they react to this. Don't think you're going to get a blanket response where everybody's going to be doing the same thing. So it's going to
yeah,
really matter about the impact of what people want to push out and make manifest. And we used that word earlier today. But it's a furious rage, building up emotions, overwhelming thoughts. So I think a
yeah,
lot of it has to do with managing your thoughts, managing your moods and your emotions, and not allowing something that's external, irrespective of whether it's something fake or real
yeah.
or both. I mean, it could be a combination of both of those things. And I ooh, so
I like the idea it's got 101 possibilities and it's every single one of them is right.
and
Okay. Oh, yeah.
and
Oh, yeah.
this is this is about that division and derision. So when we're that collective, this is probably going to piss them off if we end up coming together as a collective and not overreacting to the things that they're pushing out in front of us. And they like to believe. Well, there are few of them and many of us, but we've disempowered ourselves. And they say, well, we need to push back. We need to do this to them. We need justice. We need this. We need that. I'm sorry, we've already got
Mm.
that. We're the ones who've created this paradigm. It's up to us to do something different. We
Yeah.
can't be doing things the same way and expecting a different outcome.
Yeah.
War doesn't fix it. skirmishes don't fix it, but a different attitude does.
Yeah.
And putting them in and so if they get pissed off, when you're pissed off, you're not going to make good decisions.
Yeah.
So that they need to be pissed off and not pull a trigger. I mean, they are going to be triggered when we're going to make them jealous of our self-control. We're not going to, put our head on the block, as it were, but we're also not going to allow them to push us in that direction because that's
Yeah.
what they would like to do to those who give them pushback. What's the third card? We need to close ourselves off. No, no.
Yeah.
We need to close them off.
Yeah. Yeah.
They need to go out their own exit door and they aren't going to realize it. Even with saying something like that, they're going to think that they have got the upper on us, but there are enough people out there that are aware of the shinola and shenanigans. That's where it's going to give us that solution based cure, if you will. Things aren't going to happen overnight. That's the other thing, too. This does not resolve. These types of very deep, strong emotions do not resolve quickly. Think about how you feel after you've had a rage out.
Yeah.
You feel drained. We want them to be drained and
Yeah.
expel all of their energy on something that's completely fruitless. They're going to be they're going to be tapped,
Yeah.
bewildered, and then they're going to
I
get
got
pulled. They're going
I
to
got
get,
this
where is it? Closed off.
I got the same. I got exactly as you are. Give yourself permission to feel content.
Yep,
So it's like that's just content. That's intent. So
yep,
you uh, trust in your abilities to hold that line, to feel safe, to feel that energy within you. This is your energy, and you can say no, and you can stay calm. You don't have to rage out. When you
yep.
see it coming in, it's
Let
like,
the
oh,
rage
where did that come from? Wow. And if you can, yeah, just be yourself. Be yourself. Trust in yourself and the abilities that you have, for whatever comes in. You're gonna get sick of hearing me say that because, this is just how it is. You got to believe and trust in yourself. 1% of trust in yourself is better than zero. So we have to start somewhere, but we build this up. We build this up. We start communicating with our inner self and we go, you know, I'm worthwhile. I'm worthwhile. Absolutely. My life has been such an adventure. You start seeing for yourself your true character and the adventures that you've been on that nobody else has been on your adventures. That's absolutely phenomenal.
and
It's fantastic.
hey,
You are a creator.
some of those days that you're gonna say is, get where's the damn ticket master? Get me off this loopsy doodle train ride. I need to go. I would be happy some days with a merry-go-round. Just take me in a circle a few times, nice and slow. I need a little bit of a nap. Yeah. Okay, then I'll get back on the train. Because
Yes.
some days it does. It feels like a bullet train. When you take a long drive, and what are you doing? You're sitting on your bupkis. You're maybe moving your arms and your feet or whatever. And you get done with that long drive. You are so tired. You did nothing
Yeah,
but
yeah.
sit on your butt. No, there was all kinds of stuff that you were going through. How about all that atmosphere, your head? So that's a physical thing though too. When you're going through the atmosphere, I have my own little idea about when you travel like that. Because
Yeah.
making the trip to New Zealand. I mean, that first time we went down there, I kid you not, from the time I left my apartment to the time I stepped into that house in it was in Miramar. It was 40 hours of travel. 40
Whoa.
straight hours of travel.
Yeah. No.
And the shortest I think it's been was like 30. So you just feel freaking fried,
Yeah.
because you got the wait time in the airports and the between the planes, because you got to stop somewhere. It's too long of a trip. You got to stop usually in like Honolulu or something like that. One time we did it in LA, another time in Honolulu. but it is a long, freaky, and then you stop in Auckland, and then you got to take another flight, and you're schlepping all your stuff, and it's not in the same building, so you hope that it's going to be decent weather, and it is, it's so much, but you did nothing but sit. But why is it that you're so tired?
Yeah. Oh,
You
you
went
got
right.
all those frequencies. You got so much going on, so much frequencies, and you're walking through this density, Then you're in a sardine can with, oh no, thank you. And yeah, no, no,
Yeah. That's a whole different gig and a party. But
yeah.
um, did you have anything else for the space thing, or
No,
were you?
I didn't, but it sort of gives me a little bit of a hint to, keep going by what my theory is, because if it's saying it's inherited and it's a group order, well, that, inherited means it comes from here, it comes from close by. So if I'm saying, is this a space object or is it, and it says it's inherited, I'm just going to go with the logic of that. To my logic says that means it's from here. It's
Yeah.
from here. So if it's from here, see, one thing that's getting me is if this government, this world has so much back engineered technology and satellites that can do zoom in how many light thousands of years and blah blah blah, blah, in the distance, then why didn't they pick up on this sooner than the 1st of July? See, that does not make sense to me for a start. Yeah, and then it's got a
Life is
headlight.
but a play, and we're on its stage.
Yeah. I mean, we don't know exactly what it is, right? And yeah, I can't trust anything that comes from a company that's, never a straight answer.
Yes.
Um, it's like there's just so much, and everybody's so excited because there's such a big push for the ufology companies to come out and all of this. It's okay. Yeah, it's sort of, oh, 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 it's sort of not sitting right with me, eh? It's just not. I hope to be wrong. I hope to encounter some real aliens on this planet saying, "Yeah,
Well,
see
I
now
think
you can see it.
they
What are you
are,
gonna
they
do?"
are. I think there are. All right. So I was married to an alien, right? But that's only when he was here. When I was there, I was the alien. So, you kind of look at it that way. So, extraterrestrials, the extra land. So maybe
Yeah.
I mean, you just connected
Well,
the two.
they're also saying, it's the next coming. He's coming back. Da da da. I'm like, it's too much of a setup. It's too much of a setup, and
Hmm.
then for the same, in the next, you're looking at something, and then the next thing that pops up is I mean, I can hit a new subject if you want, you want. This week I've been watching the missing children. I've been watching the missing peoples going. I've been watching smuggling of different things going on.
The littles.
Yeah, yeah. Where
Yeah.
they're talking about, because I've been doing big work on MK Ultra and some of the stuff I went through in the tunnel, my lab stuff. And one of the things was the gang stalking and how I recognize it in the ice cream van.
Hmm.
And the clown, the ice cream van, and how I don't need a very big space to shove a kid. All
Nope.
right. And a kid's trust factors of having to, I mean, one of the things I saw was a video clip just recently of somebody saying, come on and get your own. I recall that when I was a younger person with all us other kids, we just run out there and we just grabbed our stuff and went off. And there was always somebody that, oh, where are they? Where are they? And you didn't think twice. You thought, oh, okay, they got their shit and they went home.
Yep.
Only to find out later on the cops are around their house and they're looking for the missing child.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
There's been cases like that, so I'm quite concerned about the number of it going down. But there's a lot of this crisis actor stuff also coming to the
Yep. Yep.
surface,
Yep. Yep.
and
Again.
the ages are getting younger and younger.
Yep.
So I'm very aware of that. the other thing that came up was what's happening to all the unhomed, the homeless that you guys call homeless. Um, they've chosen to be in that situation.
Yep.
I feel yes, we can get pushed out of situations because I've lived in that situation myself,
Yep.
and I was running away. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
it was a survival mechanism for me. I was running away, and nobody would ever go into those locations to look for me, so I felt quite safe. Um, it's not a safe environment. I'll just tell you that now. It's not a safe environment for anybody.
No,
And
yeah, okay. So I
these
think,
people are disappearing. These people
oh,
are disappearing.
yeah, I mean, one of the things I know most people, well, not most people, a lot of people know who Kathy O'Brien is. And
Yeah,
I've seen her at a couple of conferences, and they've got another one. I don't think it's gonna be coming up out in my area until like November, but I'll probably go on, this will be my third time going to visit and seeing her speak. She's an excellent, excellent speaker, very, very, very inspirational. My first exposure to that sort of slave trade, not
okay.
just the MK Ultra, was when I worked at a substance use treatment facility where a young girl, I think she was 14, she had already had, I think, two spontaneous abortions.
Abortion. Yeah,
And I think the first one was at age 10.
yeah,
So, being in treatment was very, very helpful for her to kind of process some of that, physical and emotional trauma. But it was
yeah,
also, she was tattooed. I mean,
yeah,
you
yeah,
can't get much more into a system. And it was, people think that, oh, that's
yeah.
just terrible. It's probably part of the foster. No, these were her blood parents. These were her parents that were fostering that
It's
activity
yeah,
because that's how they got their fixes, partly, and that's
yeah,
how they paid their bills. So there
yeah.
is a really, really dark thing that maybe we could save, for another
Absolutely.
time, because this is so pervasive and it gets really, really dark. Hopefully, you'll be able to get something set up. We would probably have to do a teaser um,
For a big show like
for
that.
we would have to do a teaser for like YouTube. There's no way we could do something like this on YouTube. And I like to be
No.
able to speak up. I think that there are people that have done a big series of things, kind of enlightening people on what the history of it is and how it
Oh yeah.
originated. A lot of it from the Khazars for our known history. And people groups are not who you believe those people groups to be. But it's just a really deep, complex, multi-millennium history to it that it's not something you can just, kind of start to mention. And it's worthy of some attention. It's
Yeah.
definitely worthy. And I don't know what happened to that lady. You should do some research and see what happened to her. And you know who I'm talking about. I'm not going to say her name.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, no, seriously, I don't want to give credit if that's going to be misinformation that she's been putting
Yeah.
out there. I don't know because I haven't watched it. And truth be warned, if you do know who I'm talking about and you've not seen all of her stuff, it is extremely graphic. And if you're not strong-willed and have a strong stomach, you're not going to be able to get through it because it is very, very graphic.
Yeah.
Okay, it's very explicit. So yeah.
Yeah. No
Uh,
sweeping under the carpet. But I mean
and
it
yes, yes. So
yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's a very heavy subject, and
Yeah.
dude, I'm heavy enough. I'm trying to lose weight right now.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Oh, geez. No. I'm trying to unify all the shards of myself. So I'm not even worried about weight at the moment.
Okay. One good belch and a fart and a dump, you're good.
Oh no, I did not say that. That's this. I would not say that kind of
You,
thing.
if you
I'm
can
too
talk
posh.
about warts, I can just say what I just said. I just gotta throw that.
Okay, it was on my hand. It wasn't anywhere bad. Oh my goodness.
Splurge and
Right.
purge. That's what you're gonna do, right? Right.
Definitely not posh around here, are we?
No. No.
Gosh,
No.
you know.
All right. So nothing on the 12th. I might put something up for whatever
No, it was
what
the
do you call it?
6th.
Human encounters. That was the 5th Friday is the
Oh,
5th,
that's for
6th
you.
for you,
Yeah, yeah,
6th for
yeah,
you.
yeah,
And then, yeah, we'll come up with something between now and then, maybe on the little stuff.
yeah,
And you should have your other system up and running, and we can do like a multicast thing, but I don't think I'm gonna be able, I wouldn't do it on YouTube. I would put like a teaser out there. If you, I could put
yeah.
something together and run it by you. We're gonna kind of hopefully make that happen, because it is a very deep subject. It's not, I mean, I'll probably put some sick humor in there for me. I'm just kind of that way. I can't help it.
Yes,
Everybody's
we
got
know.
their dark side.
Yeah, well, yeah, don't want
Embrace
to
the
know.
shadow, baby. Just embrace the shadow.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Make the shadow your friend. I was going to say something else, but friend came out first, and then the goat went off. So
The goat
it
went off.
agrees. Yeah, the goat. Yeah. Anyways,
All right.
well, I think it's been quite insightful today. We've gone
I,
some
yeah.
interesting subjects.
Yeah. Unscripted for sure. Yeah, and for me, it's almost 10 o'clock, and this is getting close to a 20-hour day for me. So
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
ready to cook it.
No,
I'm
you do
ready to.
that. You do that. It's been a good show, and
Yep.
thank you again for coming and making this what it is. A crazy space for all. Love it. Love hanging with you. So, I will see what happens next week. But yeah, everyone stay calm. Okay? Just be calm. Love yourself. Make good memories. Look at some of the smallest things around you because they're probably the one memory you're going to hold on to because they're so small. So,
Yep.
have
Enjoy
fun
where.
in this adventure.
Yep. Enjoy where you're at. Enjoy the now, because that's all you
Yes.
got. That's all you got. It's just now. And we'll take what comes. Don't
And get
press
ready
on.
for that dress up day. Sorry, just
Ah,
had to tell you.
shite. I gotta think of
Yeah, I'm not
something
going to
else
let you
now.
get off on that one, mate.
Damn.
It's all right.
I think the
Yeah.
last time I did a dress up, it was a hippie. I can't do a repeat performance. That was a really long time ago.
Yeah. No, I don't know what I dress up as either. It's always
We'll figure
different,
it out.
you
We'll
know.
figure it out.
If a
We got.
personality comes in.
Oh no, no, that would not be. Yeah, I'm just leaving that one alone.
Oh, shit.
Okay. Well,
Oh,
hey, thanks everybody for stopping by. We'll have contact details posted later in the description below, and we'll see y'all on